So since I simply can't be punctual when addressing these issues that are at the center of the national consciousness, gun control. I figured I'd finally dip my toes into this one. And it seems my opinion isn't very controversial, since even a lot of my conservative friends agree with me that we need sensible gun regulation. But surprise, surprise, the conversation's been very polarized, where you have people on one side talking about gun prohibition, which we know is a bad idea because it generally leads to a counterculture, and people on the other side talking about the protection of their Second Amendment rights and tyranny of the government, blah, blah, blah. But my views mirror what a lot of people think, which is that it should be as difficult to get a gun license as it is to get a driver's license. You should be able to get permitted, and then after an indefinite period of time, which that's a detail I'm not sure about how we would work that out, you get an actual license once you've been shown to be competent enough to actually own a firearm. There should be safety courses that you have to take that, all-purpose general classes, while also having individual classes for specific types of guns. I know personally from my experience in the military of having to go to different classes for the M4 rifle versus the M240 Bravo machine gun. They're very different. So you could have individual classes for shotguns, assault rifles, handguns, whatever. And I think that it'd be good to have a routine psych eval that is non-invasive, but enough to be able to determine whether or not you are mentally competent to own and operate a firearm. And all of this at your own expense because you're the one who wants to go out of your way to own a gun. Well, with all that bureaucratic red tape, it's gonna be so hard for me to buy and sell my guns. I don't give two shits and a fuck, because it should be at least as difficult for you to sell and buy one as it is for you to do with a car. This thing can be just as dangerous, if not more so, than a car. But this is taking away my Second Amendment rights. In the same way that not being allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater is taking away your First Amendment rights, i.e., not the fuck at all. But this is only going to affect lawful citizens instead of criminals. Bull fucking shit. This will make it easier for police to check whether you have guns illegally because they can check your gun license in the same way they can your driver's license. More guns being taken off more criminals, fewer guns for there to be stolen and sold illegally. It's a win-win. But this will just contribute to the stigmatization of the mentally ill. You know what? I agree that that is a problem, and I too am concerned about the question of who is going to determine who is not competent enough based on what mental illness to own and operate a gun. But just because it opens up that can of worms doesn't mean we shouldn't address the current issue. We can still address that stigmatization individually, as we should. It's its own separate issue, and just because that is opened up by this doesn't mean that we shouldn't also address this issue. But look at all the legislation that's been proposed by our representatives. Yeah, you know what? I agree that it's completely ineffectual. It doesn't address any root issues. We're going after types of guns and how many rounds you can have in a magazine and stuff instead of actually trying to address the problems. But just because our representatives are ineffectual doesn't mean that we shouldn't be trying to actually propose some reasonable legislation and trying to hold our representatives accountable for the fact that they're doing shit to actually help us. So in the end, I hope this helps to moderate a lot of the polarizing discussion that's going on out there on this subject. And again, I think that each of us individually should go out of our way to hold our representatives accountable for the fact that they're not proposing anything that's actually going to fix shit. If we actually care about this, then we should go out of our way to make sure that we solve the issues. And if they're not, and we don't hold them accountable, that's our fault. Sure, they hold some of the responsibility, but you can't disabuse yourself of yours. So, in the end, I hope we can all agree that in the country where we have per capita the most guns on the planet, almost as many as we have citizens, we need sensible gun regulation. Long days and pleasant nights. Oh, and on the military tyranny government stuff, yeah, we don't know what would happen anyway. If they tried to wage war on us, yeah, they've got much better toys than us, and all we've got is handguns, but then again, consider how well our military can handle occupying a country with an armed insurgency. We don't know, it's assumptions either way. Not an issue. You want to stop the slide before it becomes a slippery slope, then stop it.